Today we are going to be exploring the VX4 Premium Wide Controller by Gioteck. Let's have a look. So, the Giotech VX4 wired PS4 controller. Now I brought this to replace the controller pad I'm using at the moment, which is that. This is the Steam controller. Now it is a pretty decent, it's very dirty, but it's a pretty decent controller, but it's temperamental because trying to map the game's controls to this can sometimes be a nightmare. And the very fact that the camera stick is a sensor, so it's a bit iffy. So I brought this one because it's wired for a start, so I don't have to worry about batteries dying. It's a PS4, so I'm familiar with the button config, and it looks pretty cool to be fair. So let's open it. Now, I do consider myself a funny man and a man of many talents. Not Liam Neeson talents or anywhere near the skill set. But we're going to open this with a knife, because this is a security tag, but with my knife. Yeah, I'm going samurai today. This was literally just kind of a novelty present I brought my wife for Christmas. It's just essentially a carving knife in the shape of a samurai sword. Now the aim is, I'm going to try and attack it clean down the middle. That's the plan anyway. Whether it works or not is a different story. Let's do this. One. I hope I don't hit the table. 1, 2, 3. I missed. Okay, one more time. Okay, we're not going to get that, are we? There we go. Anyway, let's open it and have a look. So, I've gone for blue, but it comes in a nice little trapezium-shaped box. Can't complain with that. There's more sticky tabs. Open it. So I open one box, let's get another box. Right. So naturally you get the world's biggest instruction manual. We get stickers, we get read before use, we get the controller itself. Okay, I won't lie, it feels a bit crap, you can hear that. Oh, I don't like the D-pad, my gosh. Look at that mess, oh my god. So, I don't know if I said earlier, but this cost £20. I doubt it's got vibration in there. But it's, it's got very sharp cut triggers. Lots of travel in the button. I don't know if you can see that, lots of travel. The analog sticks feel pretty decent. I'm not liking the D-pad. Lots of travel in there. It doesn't feel like you've hit the right button at all. The fact I can actually move, like you can see where some of the where the plastic joins, you can actually send that apart, like break it apart. Do the squeak test. Potentially just broke it, but that is a squeaky joypad. The only bit of rubber really is on the analog stick. The triggers are surprisingly rough, like right underneath them. They're sharper than this knife. Yeah, they're quite sharp. It just looks very cheaply made. I'm a bit disappointed with this Gioteck. Let's see how long this is. This long. I'm standing on the USB part. I'm 6'2", and the joypad is going over my head. We've had it plugged in, or we have it plugged in. It configured it just like normal. It did come up as an Xbox 360 controller, which doesn't really bother me, so I'm assuming the buttons will be identical. But this one doesn't feel too bad. Even though the buttons are very high, they feel pretty comfortable to press. Very responsive, I must say. Cycle through some weapons. Yep, don't feel too bad at all. Yep, I'm quite happy with the response of the buttons. The triggers are a little bit, I don't know, uncomfortable. The way I'm holding it, obviously I have the two fingers on the top, but they're quite sharp, the underneath are. Like, they don't interfere with the depression of the button, but they're slightly uncomfortable. It doesn't have any vibration. I've just noticed that really. There's no vibration, especially when you fire a gun, which is a bummer, but for 20 quid, what do you expect? You're not really going to get anything for that. The size and shape of the controller feel quite nice. It's, is that what a PS4 controller looks like? I haven't seen one in ages. But it feels quite nice. It's a wide controller, which makes my hands not ache so much. But, yes, enough of the gaming. Let's review this thing. Let's come to a verdict on what this controller can do. So, to conclude this video, I've got 3 joypads or controllers, the PS4, the Giotech VX4, and the Steam controller. Now, one thing I will always give to the Steam controller is the size of it. It's huge, really. It's almost like playing the Xbox Duke controller. The one thing that does for me let this down is the fact it's quite, like, the ergonomics of it are great, but the button placement sometimes is a bit funny, but they do have the back buttons, and it's the sensor for the camera stick. In theory that's good, but I don't like it. It's not very accurate because you so much just jiggle your thumb a tiny bit and it's all over the shop. The PS4 controller hasn't really changed since it first came out, the PlayStation that is. It's a very universally fit design. Obviously the 2 analog sticks at the bottom, but big hands, this isn't a very comfortable controller for me. Whereas this one, I don't know why I'm doing them upside down, the G-Shock one, Gioteck, why am I calling it Shock? The Gioteck one, it's wide, almost as wide as the Steam controller. The button placement does feel a little bit better, to be fair, than this one. Like, I think because they've got quite long triggers compared to the normal PlayStation one, it feels easier on my fingers. It doesn't feel like I'm slipping off. The arc on the handles themselves, they're pretty decent, where that one, well, to be fair, the actual butt of the handle is quite substantial. Don't know why I did that, as if a nutsack grope. But anyway, but for £20, I'm not complaining. Yes, I would like some vibrations in there just to give it a bit more oomph. I did notice after setting this part up, and if you can see, there was like a little triangle V-shaped thing. I'm assuming that's where a light would be, if probably wireless. That's what I'm going to say. You know how it's got the light on the back. The D-pad threw me at first because it's almost like clover look, but it actually is quite responsive. It doesn't feel very responsive. Like, there's a lot of room in there, a lot of room. The analog sticks are the redeeming feature, to be fair. They are very responsive. But for what I need it for, which is just PC gaming, it works pretty well. So I don't have to break it, and I can kind of get rid of this. But we'll see how we get on with this one. It works on the PlayStation, it works on my PC, and for that I think it's actually not bad. It's 20 quid's worth of gear, really, isn't it? But it does exactly what it says it will do. So until next time, thank you very much for watching, and I will, at some point, have an outro. But until then, bye. Outro! Which wheel was it? That one. Right. You've ruined my illusion.